9/18, my son's 33rd birthday. Yay.
Good. It's still Wednesday, right? Good
Yes.
Wednesday evening, everybody. How the heck you doing? I'm Manny Vitale, host of My Fight Our War, Manny Vitale's Wolfpack, and co-host of Music and Mayhem with Skylar Ray. And I really hope you guys had a chance to check out the live stream from yesterday. It wasn't the best Wi-Fi, so it did cut in and out quite a bit. I I had the extreme pleasure and honor of being the guest speaker at Fan last night at their meeting. And I tell you what, we've got a very special guest, Cate, who was on before, and she's going to come on now, and we're going to recap last night and go over all the amazing things because there's one show's not enough to get all the stuff that fans doing, but last night, like I said, was my first speaking engagement, and Fan. Evidently, I forgot to tell Cate that, but I had an absolute riot. I loved it so much, and I look forward to doing more of it. So, without further ado, let's get Cate. There she is. How you doing, Cate?
Hi, good. How are you?
I was just giving everyone a little lowdown on last night, and I was like, just like when I told you about the speaking, that was my first one, and you're like, really? I was like,
I
oh,
I
I
thought you
must
were
have forgot.
joking until right before this when you told me that it was your first time. When you said that last night, I thought you were kidding. I thought you were saying that you do that before every speaking engagement.
Oh no, man! And then the people that I was able to meet before, just walking around, I was telling them, and they were like, "Oh," and I go, "Yeah," and I kind of joking with them. So yeah, it's my first one. And as we were talking, they were like, "Oh, come on!" They didn't believe me.
I didn't believe you. I was like, "Oh, that's just his running joke." Haha. No.
No, but thank you so much, man, and everyone at Fan for allowing me to have that opportunity to tell my story, talk about my fighter war, and my first speaking engagement. And I tell you what, it was such a what a great place to do it. Everybody was so nice and supportive, and kind with their feedback. It was great.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming out.
Oh, well, like I said, man, you're not now I'm like that little puppy that you give a little attention to and it won't go away. I mean, I'm your fan mascot now.
All right.
Oh, but you were on our show before. It was like what about a month or so or whatever it was,
I
and
don't know.
we covered a lot. But the thing is, even though we covered a lot, we didn't even come close to all the stuff that you do and
No.
the amazing things and it's just so much going on. Do you have something going on like with as far as upcoming events and stuff that you want to kind of plug right now as far as that? And then, just dive into more because we have some people that are close to us that are the parents of somebody who is dealing with alcohol and some very serious issues with alcohol and they're having problems. So if you could, any suggestions for them, but yeah, if you just want to jump in and give like a rundown of some events and stuff like that, past, present, and future, and then what all you guys have to offer.
Yeah, so I'll start off with kind of a general idea of what Fan is because some
Mhm.
people here probably haven't heard of us before. But we have a mission of compassionately helping individuals and families that are affected by substance use disorder, whether that's alcohol or any other substance. We help individuals with that and we help them navigate current active use, entering recovery, and maintaining long term sobriety. We also help the parents enter their own recovery as well because we believe that addiction is not just an individual's disease, it's a family disease and it affects everyone that's surrounding that individual. So, one of the ways that we kind of run is on fundraisers, and we have a fundraiser coming up on October 1st. It's called Fall Fest. Now, it's a gala, so we sell tickets online. We also are taking sponsorships all the way up to $10,000, and each sponsorship level unlocks different things, whether that's an entire table to bring people to, an ad, having your logo on our website for a year. There's a whole bunch of things that come with each package. We also have a silent auction during the event. And so we're looking for auction items to be donated. We have an Amazon wish list that has all of the items that were put on there that you can buy, and it'll donate it directly to Fan to go to the auction. And then when the auction comes, we get donations off of that item.
Gotcha. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's October 1st, Fall Fest. Where's that located?
So that's happening out in Shelby Township, Washington Township. It's a ticketed event. So if you want to go, you have to make sure to get a ticket first.
Okay.
Can't just show up at the door because it's tabled and it's nice attire. You dress up.
You're like
It's really-
Manny.
Dress up, baby.
Dress up. Unlike you were last night, Manny, as the guest speaker.
Oh, you were fine yesterday.
Oh man, Cate. After I was done speaking, people wanted to come up and shake my hand and the hug and stuff. And I was like, "You don't want to do that." I was soaked. I was sweating. I was so nervous up there. I was like, "You know," and they're like, "No, I don't care. I don't care." And I was like, "Oh," but so it's where's it? It's Shelby Township. Is
It's
it
like
at?
25 in Van Dyke area.
Oh, okay. And I'm sorry, where do they go for tickets? Do they go to the
So
fan
on our
website?
website, so
Okay.
on the fan website, which is faceaddictionnow.org, you click events and then scroll down, and there's an event titled Fall Fest, October 1st. You click that, and you can download the sponsorship sheet. You can buy an auction item, donate, buy tickets. All of that is found on that part of the website.
That's a great idea. You know what? If you want, if you want to put that, I'll be more than happy to put it on our page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you want to send it, yeah, we'll definitely post that. Because that sounds nice.
Yeah.
I'll put
Yeah,
on
I'll
my
share that with you.
extra nice t-shirt.
I'll be there working it.
Uh-oh. In other words, I was cracking up when we were telling people last night about the first show when we were talking, and we're just going on after
I
just
need to
different
see
things.
that clip.
Oh my God. I'm going to send it to you. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And
do it.
it was so funny when at the very, Cate, so why don't we tell people again? Why don't you remind people when your next meeting is? And you were just sitting there and like, Manny, you're speaking at it. It was like,
Okay.
it was so funny. I mean, here's your cute, sweet, nice Cate. And I tell you what, too. What was her name? Afterwards, Margaret, blonde hair, her fan. What was her name? Margaret, and then Dawn.
Too many people.
That were there. That were like peer or coaches or something like that. And they come up and they listen. Because I did tell them about coming on a show, because that's what it was. We were talking about you coming on, and they saw you last time. They were talking about seeing you, and I go, she's on again tomorrow night. And they're like, oh, they go, we want to come on. You're on, man. Talking about the one, it was her and her son both had issues, so that'd be a great show. And the other one, I could have swore her name was Dawn, but there was a couple. Yeah, and I met her, and I go, by the way, you're on the show. She goes, oh, Margaret hooked me up already, huh? She goes, she's good at doing that. And then there's another one, Zach, I think his name is. That works at an appliance store, and he goes,
Yes.
I got appliances for you. Like, I live in an apartment. And but the people were so nice. And they're all more than welcome, every one of them. I'm like, you guys are all future guests on the show whenever you want. And a lot of them were talking about you, because when I brought that up, I didn't know you left. And I'm like talking, I go, yeah, and Cate, and then I go, where are you at, Cate? And they're like, she left. I was like, man, I'm that bad. She's like, she goes, I'm not, I didn't take credit for this. But no, they were all talking about when they saw you and stuff. So, look forward to having them.
You called me out in the middle of your presentation and I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, Manny, I'm so sorry.
Oh man. And I'm like, she is so sweet and kind. She said she was going to be here all night supporting me, and it meant the world.
Did you say that?
No. No. I mean, yes. No, I didn't, but it was so funny, Cate. I was, like I said, I went back. I was afraid to look at it because, I mean, luckily, I mean, there was no like, stuttering and then, freezing and all that. I mean, it went right through,
Mhm.
but in my mind, I know I could do so much better. But it was my first time. and I was almost afraid to look at it to see like my body language. If I look like, man, I'm up there leaning on the podium. I'm swinging the cord.
No, no.
I mean, not swinging, but I was just having such a good time. And I mean, I wear my heart on my sleeve, man. It didn't take long at all. I was sobbing like a little baby, and when I was telling my story, then my brother's story about him dying in my arms and stuff. But I can't say enough about how much I love you guys and what you do. But so we got October 1st, Fall Fest. If you please send me that, because I want to post that on our page.
I will.
And what else we got going?
So, as for events, I think that's the only upcoming event that we have, but we do have groups every single week. We have a women's group that meets on Thursdays, a men's group that meets on Saturday mornings at the office. There's Recovery Dharma on Saturdays as well at the office. We have outpatient group meetings. There's a non-binary and LGBTQ exclusive online meeting as well on Mondays.
When you're
And
talking about the meet all the others that you just mentioned in the office, you're talking about the place where I met you on
yes.
Garfield.
Mhm.
What's the address to that? We're going to post that for you too.
That's 43800 Garfield. For the groups, you have to register.
Okay.
For some of them, you have to register. For others, you don't. All the information's on our website. You just hit Living in Recovery, and then all the groups show up.
Perfect. We're gonna. What
writing
we'll
it
do is,
Post it.
so if we go to a fan and all that, we can just like copy your link then and just put it right on our page.
Yeah, so it's all on the Facebook page too. You can
Yeah.
just repost it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's. Perfect. Yeah. I mean, with my IT skills, yeah, of course I knew that.
An hour.
No, I didn't.
But with her IT skills, you'd figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, so those meetings. Now, I'm sorry, you said that those are weekly, right? The ones
Yeah,
that you
those are
just
every
mentioned?
week.
That's awesome, man. I didn't know that. And did you say that there was something specifically for the families, like the not necessarily parents, but like for the families of someone who is in active
Active.
addiction?
Yeah, so we have our Stronger Together groups.
Stronger together.
So those can be found on our website as well. You go to the programs page, you scroll down to educational support groups, click that, and then all of the different groups will be showing up on a calendar there, because we have some all across the state. We have some virtual, some in person, and those are all dependent on the area. So you just look it up right there to see what's like available near you. And those are for anyone that has a loved one that's struggling with addiction. We have grief groups as well through that. So there's options for support groups for families. And then we also offer family recovery coaching. So any family member or family collectively can register for a coach, and that person will work one-on-one with that family on
Great.
building boundaries, doing your like your family's recovery, how to encourage your child without enabling, and rebuilding that family dynamic. So it's great. That program's amazing.
That is awesome. The
That's
fact
family
that
recovery.
the idea of either in person or virtual
Mhm.
is great, because you get some people who, I mean, this is scary enough, when you have the person who's the addict who's taking that first step. And I made a point of that talking last night when I started. I said, listen, for every one of you in here, you should be so proud of yourself. You took that first step, which is
Mhm.
the hardest. You guys are heroes, man. First step is, and you're here. Take a second and just realize how huge that is, and be proud of it. And because a couple of people that were first timers, you could see the look on their face, the fear, and then you could hear it in their voice. And we had some guests that we invited who their daughter is having issues, and as soon as I turned her, this was the first time we met them in person. We never met them before. We knew their sister as our friend, who told us about this situation, and we told them about us, and then right about you guys. And they said, we said Tuesday, and they showed up. And when I turned around and saw the husband and wife sitting there, the I'm trying to say the not panic, but just the fear in their
Mhm.
faces. They were just, you could just see like almost a lost fear, scare, all this. And when we were talking about what you guys do, um, and it was just, I think, a little overwhelming. And but just the fact that they could talk with someone like we are, is such a great concept because some people would want that in-person contact
Mhm.
talking, and some people would feel more comfortable like this. So
Right.
that is a great idea.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have family coaches that will do things virtually as well. So we have in person and virtual coaching as well.
That is such a great idea. And when I first started this, like I said, I didn't know anything. I just would watch other shows, and for me, it was just like, okay, the person dealing with addiction. And then I was like looking around. It was like, well, wait a minute. As I look back at what I did and the things I said, the things I did, the people I hurt, family, friends, coworkers, everybody, and everybody around me was in pain because they were upset, they were hurt, they were scared. The only person that had no problem was me. I could care less because I just didn't care at that point. And
Mhm.
hearing some of these stories from parents and friends and colleagues that are so upset, and they're like, the one who actually said, she told her sister, "I'm so sorry." And her sister's like, "Why are you sorry?" She goes, "Well, I'm so embarrassed." He goes, "Why are you embarrassed?" So they were taking all this
Mhm.
pain on themselves, and it wasn't theirs, but they
Right.
didn't, they never dealt with any type of addiction before. So hearing you guys, and then just the welcoming, I mean, everybody there was so non-judgmental.
Mhm.
It was, I'm so glad they showed up. And they had a ton of nice things to say about you. Is
Yeah,
that a
no,
dartboard on your wall?
it is. Don't.
Is that I mean, the real steel tip?
No. Well,
Oh,
kind of.
plastic?
I know. I mean, the darts are metal.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay. I was looking
Yeah.
at that. I just looked up. I'm like, I love
I
that.
I
remember
found it in
that.
my closet, so I put it up.
I
'Cause there was
love
just
it.
there was a nail in my wall. It was calling for that to be
See, you
there.
can sit here while you're doing a show, just spin around. Oh my God. That's
Oh
an idea. I
no!
want to do that. I want to put one above the camera. I could just sit here.
If you hit that $1,000 camera, honey, oof. No.
No,
Okay,
I
the
gotta get
dartboard's out of the question. Oh man. But yeah, that is such a good idea about the virtual. And I totally forgot about the meetings and all that at your office. I mean, with everything going on, and like I said, there's so much that Fan has to offer that you kind of blender brain. And but that's so cool every week. And we got to remember, we'll post that too. But
Mhm.
let's see what else we got going on. Oh, okay. As far as like you said, the coaches, the like all the different categories that you just named,
Mhm.
how do people, if me or OG or someone else, is it just go right to the site? If you who does the training and where is the training if we
If
want to become a coach?
if you want to become a coach,
Yeah, or how does that work?
so to become a coach, there's usually a spot on the website where you can click to become one. There might be an opportunity for that right now. If you go to programs, scroll down to family recovery coaching and click that, somewhere on that page, there should be a link to it. I don't know if we're hiring right now,
Okay.
but usually there is one right there. You just click the button, fill out the form, and then someone will contact you for an interview.
Oh, okay.
And then
Because
for
like,
training,
yeah,
there
that's what I was
are
wondering.
there are certifications that people have to get, and they go through the training with our team. It's usually like I think it's like a week long, maybe.
That's
I'm
okay.
not entirely sure. I'm not a coach. I've never done the
Sure.
training, but
Yeah.
I know that there are like state certifications that you have to get to be able to do coaching.
Now, for the training, is that something that is at your office, or is that something that's all online?
Sometimes it's at our office. Sometimes they're required to go through a different agency, depending on if it's in our schedule. Because we have like certain
Gotcha.
ones that are set for certain times. So
Okay.
it's just a matter of if they're going in at the right time or if it's later.
So, like for someone like me, because like to be a peer recovery coach, you have to have dealing with addiction. You'd have like someone like for me, I would be able to qualify to do something like that. And I'm sorry, did you say it's a week-long process to get certified?
That's my assumption.
Yeah, okay,
I'm
and
not
we can check into
entirely
it
sure.
because
Well, the details will be on the
yeah,
website.
we'll go, we'll
Yeah.
check it out on because that's something that I've been thinking about. I mean, that would, hey, why not? You know
Why not?
what? And it's like I brought it up before to someone, and they're like, "You're already a coach, dummy." And I was like, "Well,"
Find out.
and it's like, "Well, actually, yeah, but I don't have the certification, but the
Life.
living the life and
Life.
being able to understand it all. And I know there's a lot more to it, and I would never,
Right.
say I'm just as good or nothing like that. Because, and that's like even I was talking last night to a few people. When I started this, one of the first things I said about on my fight is I have no education at all as far as degrees, counseling, coach. I don't have any of those. So I don't have all the answers. Do this to like people say, what do I do to become sober or to break addiction, and what do I do? And it's like there's not a black and white do this and you're cured.
Right.
And I said, and I don't have any diplomas. The only thing I can say to you is I'm one of you, and none of us will ever. You'll hear people all the time say, "Oh, I know exactly how you're feeling." No, you don't. You can have an idea because we've gone through the same things, but how I dealt with it and how you dealt with it and everyone else, it's all different. But we have a good idea on that
Right.
same dark hole that we know that it's addiction. And that's why with all of us, and like everyone there was saying last night, that it's just such a family oriented, non-judgmental, and a lot of the things that you guys and um, your mission statement and everything is exactly what we are here, where we're not going to judge you. And I really like what you said about some people that are, hey, listen, I'm still drinking, I'm still using drugs,
Hmm.
because I actually found out about, I'm not going to mention the names of the organizations. They're like, oh, then I'm sorry,
Yeah,
you
there are a
cannot.
lot of organizations that are abstinent based.
Yeah, and
We run on a harm reduction based
yeah,
program.
and at first when I heard that, I went to the old man. I was like, I was a little pissed, and I was like, you're going to judge, but I was like, well, wait a minute, that's their site, their rules, and they've got a good following, and they're doing a great job to help people. And just like us, we're not going to judge you. Don't judge us. But hearing some of those things, because when I started my fight or war, all of a sudden I started getting comments that were like, what kind of family or help and support is this? And they're like, Manny, and they were messaging me. They thank God they weren't posting it all over. And they're like, I know personally at least 5 people that are still drinking, and like calling them out and degrading them on Messenger. Thank God. And I was like, who are you to judge? And that's why we're here, to
Right.
help. It's like, oh, that. And talking past the mic was great. Hearing like some of the people, 30 years, 5 years, and the one was like, 2 weeks. And that's another thing that I said when I was starting, during my speech was when I got out of the hospital, I had a family member who brought a friend over. They were both sober, and the one was like 20 years, and his friend, I said, oh, how long have you been sober now? And he's like 35 years. And I was like, wow. And he goes, how about you? And I'll never forget this. It was like, maybe a month. And I went, I cast, when I go, just a month, just like that. And he goes, why did you say that like that? And I was like, well, 35 years. I mean, look at you, and me only a month. He goes, when's the last time you were sober for a month? I was like, never. I mean, and he's like, think about that. And he goes, that month, how does that feel for you? I go, it feels great. He goes, so your month feels just like my 35 years. And from that date on, he said, never belittle any goal, no matter what it was that you have achieved. And that's why I love doing this. That's why I love fan and all that, is I learned so much. And it's like the smallest goal met is a goal met. and
Oh
you
yeah.
did it. You achieved it, and it's so it could be something so small, and but praise, give the praise because there's plenty of getting slammed, not slammed, but
Mhm. Oh yeah.
dealing with. Hey, listen, you screwed up, and deal with the harsh words because we deserve it. But on the flip side, when you do something, maybe it is small, but bring that up just as much
Right.
intensity as the negativity.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, like I said, I learn every day. So that was really cool, and hearing a lot of the people with their stories. And another thing was the people that were addicts themselves or whatever, the dealing with addiction themselves, that were there supporting someone else dealing with addiction.
Mhm.
So it wasn't just always someone sober with no issues helping someone. It was like the big family. And like I told them before, I go, we are part of an elite family. We are an elite family of people dealing with
Mhm.
addiction. And I go, I am so proud to be part of this family. And everyone, a couple of people were like, then they were like, and started clapping. It was really neat. Um, so
That's cool. I
again,
wish we could
thank
have
you
been there to
so
see the
much,
whole thing.
man. I can't wait to send that to you. Um, as far as I know, we chatted a little bit about like ages, with if there's a certain age that you really can't intervene,
Mhm.
or something like that. Was that right? Am I right on that?
We were
Is
talking a little bit about the barriers when
Yeah,
dealing with
yeah,
minors
yeah.
because to my understanding there's not a law in the state of Michigan that allows minors to go to treatment. At least there's not any treatment centers that are equipped to take any minors in the state of Michigan. And we also then touched on because of that whole thing, even with nicotine, how high school students aren't getting the help that they need. They're getting suspended and sent home, and they're under 18, so they can't even get any sort of replacement therapy or anything like that that goes along with that nicotine. They're just told to stop, and it's not treated like an addiction. It's just
Mhm.
treated like something that they're doing for fun.
Yeah. So here they're being disciplined and sent
Yeah.
home, but without any type of like education or assistance. So I mean that's this system, and you know what, we work on it, we fix it. We do the
Mhm.
best we can. But do you guys do stuff with certain schools? I mean, do you
Yeah.
go in and stuff? What do you do there?
So we have partnerships with a couple of schools, and some administrations will reach out to us for specific types of presentations. We have a lot of ongoing projects that haven't really been launched yet, but we've been implementing um, education programs, prevention based in schools at like a younger age. And then we've also been discussing not only what addiction looks like, how it can affect anyone, and also how to make the strides to quit as a minor. Especially with again, like I keep going back to the nicotine thing, but that's like
Sure.
what's really prevalent in the schools right now with the vaping
I was just gonna say that.
is even like I've talked to students who they don't really have all the information on what they're dealing with or recognizing what's happening in their body. So they'll be like, "Well, I can't go more than a day without hitting my vape because I get this headache and my chest, like my heart's racing and I'm having all these symptoms." And I have to tell them, I'm like, your body's working. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing because it's getting rid of the nicotine in your body and it's healing itself. Like that's what you have to hold on to. And like giving them coping skills for dealing with that because that's not really um common knowledge. And a lot of kids, they're so scared of what their parents are gonna say that they're too scared to even say anything because they already know I'm gonna get grounded.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to hang out with my friends, and it's gonna be all of these, like, counterintuitive punishments instead of actually helping them. So, a lot of students don't really have the tools that they need, but going in there and saying, "Hey, like, you can get addicted to things even if it's, like, just say Adderall."
Hmm.
A lot of people have
Yeah.
the idea of what addiction looks like and whether that's alcoholism or um, vaping. Not a lot of people put together, well, you can misuse your own medication.
Sure.
It's misuse to use someone else's medication. Even if you have asthma and it's an inhaler, you can't use someone else's inhaler. You might not have the same dosage. You might not have, you don't know these things.
That's so true.
Mhm.
And here you just hit on it again with the education, where you just said, here they're going to get in trouble if they can't. They're afraid to go to the parents, and because they're going to get in trouble. Well, again, the parents aren't equipped with the information, so it's
Right.
just like at school. So here they get caught at school, they get in trouble, they get sent home. Why'd you get sent home? Now they got to almost lie about why they got sent home, and of course they're going to find out.
Right. They're not going
But
to be able to lie.
now, yeah, so they can't because, and a lot of these kids, like you said, they don't realize they think that it's safe. They think,
Mhm.
I think that we touched on that a little bit. That some of the people that you talked to said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not harmful." That they
Yeah.
didn't even realize what they were putting in their body.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback from both the students and the teachers because the students are actually like really like
W-
almost shell shocked at like what they're learning. Like they didn't understand that like Zyn isn't a healthy alternative and that like the nicotine is still affecting their brain and the chemicals are gonna affect their gums. Like they weren't able to put the things together because it wasn't brought to them. Like they never saw that. They see the ads on social media that tell them like what is fact and what's fiction, and it's not always fact or fiction. You can't
Yeah.
trust everything you see on social media. So these kids,
No,
they're
for sure.
not
No,
they're not
didn't you
properly
break it
educated.
down? I thought we were talking about something, how, like you said, they're like, "Oh, this is fine," like that cocky kind of, "This is fine." But then didn't you break it down to like what was in there? And you
Yeah.
started to
So
explain to them what it was, and they were just like, I mean, that
yeah,
shock and awe factor.
they're it's really interesting to see the students' reactions too, because now they're in a space where they can openly ask their questions and like actually get honest answers without any judgment. And they love to talk about it. They're always just scared when there's an adult in the room. And a couple of the schools that I've been to, they kicked the teachers out after the presentation was done for the questioning, which I feel like was a very positive thing because they
Definitely.
were coming like and the thing is too is when we go into the schools, like yes, we're speaking prevention, but we're speaking prevention knowing that some students have already experimented. We're,
Mhm.
we're speaking
Yes.
prevention knowing that there are some students in the room that are actively addicted to substances. So
Mhm.
we're not saying don't do this or you're going to die. We're saying if you're going to do this, know the facts and know what's actually happening. Like I had one student that asked a couple actually that were asking about marijuana and is it safer for me to smoke it or to vape it? And I was like, neither.
No, it's so true. And you know what's cool is they are opening to you, and the way that you're not talking down to them, and it's just a discussion where that is such a great way to go about this, where they're not dealing with a teacher or counsel, they're not dealing with a parent that's pissed off, they're dealing with someone that they don't know. We were talking about that last night. Sometimes
Mhm.
having someone come in who's not the family, who's not a family friend, who's got experience as a coach, you get someone on the outside, especially with some younger people coming in at that point. So are you going into like when do you start? Do you start grade school, junior high, high school, obviously, but
So my understanding, because I've kind of moved out of the education realm of things, my understanding is that we're in some middle schools
Mhm.
for like piloting of programming. And then we also go into some high schools upon request. So we've gone into high schools across the state. We have just started getting into schools last year. So we were actually making a lot of progress for just now starting to get into the schools. And with younger students, elementary schools, I've been into one, but it wasn't for like a presentation. It was to be involved in like a mental health day and to teach the
Okay,
students coping skills. So it went hand in hand with what we were doing, but it wasn't directly lecturing them. Like a lot of those
sure.
students, it was trying to build up protective factors against substance use. That way, when they get older and they go to middle school and high school and they're countered or confronted with instances where they have peer pressure or they have the option to make a bad decision, maybe they want to start experimenting, they'll have enough protective factors in place, coping skills and all of that in place that they're able to confidently reject those things in their life. Because we
See, that,
know,
yeah, and that's so cool too. I mean, I know you said like middle school, so we're like seventh, eighth, ninth, or sixth, seventh, eighth, and
mhm,
that's so cool because I've had people, which was very odd when we were talking. They're like, when I was younger, a long time ago, it was mainly high school. It was like, well, you talk to the high school kids, that's all you got to worry about. And yeah, back in the day, it wasn't as the way it is now. But man,
right,
now, man, I mean, you're looking at 8-year-olds who are freaking shooting up. I mean, it was just like I remember when I started looking at some of these different cases and the ages and how young and what these like cases that they were discussing, how young. Because then I had people say, "Well, what's too young?" And it's like education. You're never too young as long as you can do it in a proper way.
right.
The content.
The way that you give the information is dependent on the age.
Mhm.
Because when you're talking to elementary students, you can't say, "Look how scary this is." This is like you can't use the fear tactics, and you can't use big words. It has to be very like cut and paste. Like these are good decisions, healthy decisions. These are not healthy decisions. And then the older they get, you add a little bit more information. Like, okay, you kind of know what vaping is. Let me kind of tell you what's going to happen to your body when you do this. Here are the health effects of it. Here's how it's going to affect your development, your brain development. And then as
Is
you get
that
in,
for the middle school? Obviously, how have you have you taken part of those in the middle school? I mean,
so
how do you go about doing that to a middle school age person?
I have not gone into a middle school to talk to students. I
Okay.
think that some of our educators have,
Okay.
but I have gone into middle schools to talk to parents. So
Uh,
I've gone in after hours for parent groups and educated them on what is happening in the schools, what these devices look like, what are signs of prescription drug misuse, vaping use, marijuana use, what to do when that student gets caught, and making sure that you're not shaming, that you're not getting aggressive, and what those proper things look like. But then also making sure that you have the proper resources, you know how to have the drug talk at all to begin with, how to open up that conversation. So the way that we talk to the parents is more so educating them on how to educate.
Mhm.
that's perfect because I mean,
Yeah.
here you're dealing with a parent who's clueless. I mean, you're teaching them. So if the kid, if you do get that good kid who's just like, I can talk to my parents, and then they go to them, listen, I'm vaping, I'm doing this, and the parents are like, you're doing what? If they're
Mhm.
clueless. I mean, how do you expect them to do that? So, so you have done that with the talking with the parents,
I
right?
have talked to the
How
parents.
does that go? I mean, when it's dealing with a youngster and now you're dealing with the parents, what to look
Mhm.
for and all that. What are some of the reactions like these parents, when you are telling them, especially the ones who've never had any issues with other family members? What's their kind of reaction to the stuff you're telling them of what is in it, what could happen, and what it does physically and emotionally, mentally? What are they? How do they act?
The parents?
Yeah, I mean, with their reactions, is it a lot of it? I mean, parents aren't stupid. I mean, they're watching social media, they're watching
Mhm.
news and specials about drugs and students and all that. But to have someone like yourself and you awesome people going in there and I mean, taking it a step further and just
Mhm.
maybe giving them that shock and awe that they need. I mean, it's got to be pretty intense for the parent to like, oh my
Oh, for
God,
sure.
my child. This could happen to my child.
In a lot of instances too, I think some parents have kind of like an epiphany where they're like, "Whoa, how I'm acting is affecting my child." Because one of the things that I tell parents is when they find out that their kid's vaping or smoking weed or misusing prescriptions, it's not to yell at them and do, "What were you thinking?" It's why? Like, what's going on that made you feel like that's what you needed to do to cope? what can we do to solve the actual problem that's causing everything, instead of saying that this is the problem and you have to stop and that'll be the solution.
Yeah.
What's the underlying issue that we can address here? The other thing is too is, and a lot of parents, um I don't know if, for some parents don't like to admit it, others like to ignore it, and some will acknowledge this, and it's just really difficult, and I acknowledge that it's hard to do, but
Mhm.
family that you allow your kids to be around directly influences what they do. If you
Definitely.
are bringing your kids around the family, a side of the family that's taking shots when they wake up at 8 a.m., and those are the same people that your kid's looking up to because, oh my gosh, they're the fun people. These are the ones that are always having a good time. They're the life of the party. I want to be like them. And it's normalized behavior for them to see people waking up at 8 a.m. and taking shots. If
Mhm.
that's normalized for that child, they're going to be more inclined later on in life to do that. If they see that you're stressed out and the way that you respond to stress as a parent is to go and open up a beer, that's the habit that they're going to pick up on, because they're
Yes.
watching your behavior and how you're responding to stress in your life, and then they're going to mimic that.
Yeah, it's
So
just like
even
sponge,
years
you know.
later.
Yeah, I mean, that is so true, and you nail it too about, when they're young and they look up, like, at their older siblings, their older cousins, and then the aunts and uncles who are younger that are the fun ones, and like you said, it's just like they're so much fun, and all of a sudden they look down and they're, down in the shot. They're so
Mhm.
much fun. Now they're even funnier, and now just like, even though they're kids, man, they're like little sponges and little recorders where it's
Mhm.
just like they watch and learn and watch. Yes.
Got a question. Do you is fan across the nation or is it just in Michigan?
It is in Michigan. It's not across the nation. We do have Hope Not handcuffs, which is our access to treatment. There is a Hope Not handcuffs in New York. There's, I think, over 40 police departments in New York, don't quote me on that, that are
Mhm.
running Hope Not handcuffs. But as for other states, we're not in those.
Okay, because we have a question from some. Is there anything like this that you are aware of in Oregon, or where would they go to look for something like that in that state?
I'm not sure, but I
Okay.
can do some research on that for sure.
Okay. All right. And
Yeah.
if you could get back to us, because we've got somebody
Yeah.
who might be interested. Thank you.
Yeah, the thing is too, man, because we've been talking about yourself and fans since the first time you were on, and the first meeting that we went to, it just saw, excuse me, the way the format, the way it was set up, and then just hearing all that you do. When we left that night, I was just like, man, there's so much to offer. So we immediately just started talking about fan, even though
Mhm.
we had this much information, but we were given what we had just to get, and people, the feedback we were getting is they wanted more and more and more,
Mhm.
and we would just keep telling them, go to their site, go to their site, go to their site. And so that's like now with some of these people that it's like, yeah, I mean, there's help if it's drugs, if it's alcohol, if it's all these things, and you're living in Oregon, or if you're in Alabama or Kentucky, wherever you're living, New York, basically, social media, online, okay, you could find anything anywhere. But I mean, when you hear fan, people want, well, that's what we want. But yeah, you
Fan
just
is
have to find.
definitely Fan's definitely really unique in terms of its wide array of services that we offer. There's not an organization that's like us in terms of having harm reduction groups and peer coaches and access to treatment and support groups and this and that and that and that and that. We have a lot of different wraparound services, and a lot of different organizations focus on usually one or two of those things. So I don't know for other states what that looks like because I've been so
Sure.
engulfed in fan. I'm not really aware of other states and what they have to offer.
What's the one you said for harm? What exactly all does that entail? Is for.
So
Yeah.
harm reduction is basically a means to help individuals that are actively using maintain safety, I guess, while they're using to minimize their risk. So think about it this way, like when you're in a car, you wear a seatbelt. So that if you get in a car accident, you're reducing your harm. When you're riding a bike, you wear a helmet. Every single building has a fire extinguisher in case there's a fire. All of those are different methods of harm reduction. So when we look at harm reduction on the addiction level, we're going to the street and we're meeting people where they're at. And when those individuals need like clean needles, we offer safe use supplies for needles, safe smoke kits, safe snort kits to minimize both the spread of communicable diseases and also to make sure that individuals are not harming themselves. When you use needles over and over again, they dull and they barb, and that can cause abscesses, infections, sepsis. And when you're sharing needles, you're getting that blood-to-blood contact. And if someone has Hep C, HIV, that goes from blood-to-blood contact. We also see that with smoking and snorting because cracked lips, cracked nostrils, because everything dries out. And if that person has HIV or Hep C and that person sharing that stuff with another individual who also has a cracked lip or a cracked nostril, you see that communicable disease get spread that way as well. You also run into issues with people will use like dollar bills or anything like that that's not clean. And then that also increases the risk of infection. So making sure that they have access to clean supplies minimizes that risk. And it's also a public safety thing. It's a public health issue.
Yes.
So making sure that we're going out there and we're giving them these supplies that aids in that. We also have safe sex kits. We have Narcan, fentanyl testing strips, xylazine testing strips.
Man, you guys are
Bring snacks.
We've got
got
another question for you, Kate.
Got a question. Yes. Kate, what is your title and what do you do at FAN?
Because Kate does everything.
Well, yeah, but what's your official title and what do you do?
So my official title is operations manager. So I help with the operations and we're directly below the director of operations who oversees the organization. Okay. So I kind of have my hand in everything. I started at FAN as an intern.
Kinda.
Doing
kinda. I mean, everything that hearing when we were talking and it was just like, yeah, I do that. I was like, oh my God. That's another thing I was bragging about, last night. I go, you guys are so lucky and fortunate to have Kate. I mean, because she's just, when we were talking about all the stuff you do, and believe me, they obviously know too, because they are very grateful to have you.
Did you say this at the forum?
Yesterday, when we were talking afterwards, like before I went on and then after I got done speaking, because I was talking about you and then you came on because other people were asking, they're like, well, Kate, it was just the same thing. How will it be like with Kate? And I said, yeah, same thing. Send a link and all that. And, once we brought that up, they're like, yeah, we saw that, what she did. And then I would say to them, I go, yeah, I'm just getting to know her too, as what she does at FAN. And I said, what she doesn't do. And they're like, oh God, yeah, she does this. So yeah, you are very appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of have my hand in everything. I started as an intern, so I was going out and doing angel calls, helping people get into treatment. I was working the Hope Line for a while. I was going out with the harm reduction team. I would help with really anything administrative around the office. And then I moved into community education. So I was going and making presentations, going out and talking to students, the medical community, going out to senior centers, talking to parents. And then I moved into community engagement. So then that looked more like managing volunteers, making sure that we had enough staff going out for tables, setting up tables, going out to events.
And in your spare time?
And you thought you had a lot of initials and titles and stuff like that. You just brought up that harm reduction again, and that you were part of that, which is great. And I'm sure you've got mixed emotions from people maybe agreed and maybe disagree about that, saying that you're aiding and you're enabling and all that, which I don't agree with. But I mean, I obviously agree with everything you're doing for my own personal reasons, as far as that goes, is keeping people safe. If you
Yeah.
can't stop it, you're going to keep them safe while they're doing it. But that's got to be, a little scary, man. Walking into these
I
situations.
I was only out a couple of times. When I was going out, I was still in college and I was an intern, so I wasn't really I wasn't on the team. I was there to kind of observe. I'd kind of sit in
Sure.
the back of the van a little bit and just kind of watch how everything was happening. But it's definitely a very controversial thing. Not a lot of people agree with it. People
Hmm.
think that we're bringing people like those people here, that there's gonna be needles everywhere. But harm reduction, like studies have shown that harm reduction services actually decrease needle litter in communities. And
Sure.
when you take a look at the people that we're servicing, they already live here. We're not bringing them here. They're already in our community. They
Mhm.
Yeah.
already are living with us. They're all around us. 10% of Michigan residents are struggling with substance use disorder, and there's not nearly enough of them that are getting treatment.
Mm,
They're not getting help. They don't know the resources that are out there. And so we're taking that step to make sure
to
that
them.
people of all sides of the spectrum are getting met where they're at.
That's just amazing, and I agree 100% with what you're doing. And and some of the people who may disagree, and I do get a little, wound up with stuff like that because those are the ones who are not doing anything except criticizing. It's like, oh, okay, what organization are you with? I'm not with an organization, but I will give you my opinion on this, which is fine. Get everyone's
Mhm.
opinion, but so you're criticizing someone and you're not doing anything except criticizing someone who's going out and helping people. And like you said, they're all going to have their own opinions,
Well,
which is fine.
I think a big part of it too is just not enough education, not knowing enough
Yeah,
about it. Because
exactly.
from the outside, if you're just looking at it,
Mhm.
why are you just giving people needles? That's kind of counterintuitive to the problem, isn't it? But
Exactly.
really, what we're actually doing is making sure that people have clean supplies so they don't contract any sort of diseases or illnesses. We're giving them their own supplies so they're not sharing and creating a
Yeah,
communicable disease outbreak.
yeah, it's not like dominoes. It's not like they're calling you. Yeah,
Right.
well, you're right there with an 8 ball, here,
But we're also not only are we out there and making sure that people are getting the help that they need, but we're building rapport in the community. These people are meeting our staff that they're building a relationship with. They know that if they want to get into treatment, that they can call them, they'll sit with them, they'll get them placed. So it's an all-encompassing thing. And we're also not just um giving them supplies, we're treating them like people. Just because someone
Exactly.
is in active addiction doesn't mean that they don't have the right to live as comfortably as possible. And when we just leave them to their own devices and say, "Oh yeah, keep using that needle that we know is going to make you sick. Keep doing that thing and keep not testing your drugs. We're not going to give you Narcan." You're just setting them up for failure when you could be setting them up to have a healthy future.
That is, I love that. Absolutely love that, man. It is, yeah. And again, Kate, this is, obviously we're gonna have you. We're gonna set something up. I'll talk. We'll talk afterwards, and because I know we discussed it before about maybe having some type of little, like more of a regular basis of, where it's more, consistent, like maybe once a month or whatever it is. We'll talk
Mhm.
about it just to, have that consistency. It's like, hey, listen, man, fans doing this on every week over at their office, and it's like the meeting over at St. Michael's. So they've got that already. So maybe we'll talk and see if there's something we can set up with me and you to have something just like this where
Yeah.
we'll pick a date. So we'll talk about that and do it because
Or even some of the coaches.
so oh that's right. Yeah. And we gave out plenty of cards and all that
Mhm.
too. So we're waiting to hear from them.
Mhm.
And because I invited everyone from
Mhm.
from coaches to the people that were there and that they are all welcome on My Fighter War, all of them. And they are the show's waiting for them when they're ready. It's at their time, and I was very made sure that they're aware that there are no stipulations. You don't have to worry about coming on and having to do anything except talk about whatever you feel comfortable talking about.
Mhm.
There isn't like, well, you have to talk about this to get to the, no, we'll talk about whatever you are fine with talking. And so that's just great. And so we'll set that up. But because we are gonna have to start winding this down now, but
Yep.
I can't thank you enough, man. Every time I talk to you, it's just this everything finding out about and the different avenues that are
Mhm.
open and the help. I mean, for the
Mhm.
person dealing with addiction, the families, the education is huge. The outreach is just amazing, and the
Mhm.
stuff you're doing. So thank you and everyone at Fan. And again, for me, I can't thank you enough for allowing me to come and speak. And just to let you know again, man, and let whoever know that I would anytime. I mean, if you got something going at schools, if I would love to go and talk at the high schools with the teams that you have to go out and talk. So please, whoever's in charge of that, let them know. I would, if they think that that would be something helpful. I'm all in.
I will share that.
Well,
And
Kate,
thank you for
again,
having me and for speaking yesterday, even though I
oh,
didn't get to see it.
we're gonna send it to you. And
Okay,
again,
good.
isn't the greatest, but we will do it. And like I said, I'll get a hold of you. We're leaving for New York this
Sunday.
weekend to do a couple shows. Be back Monday, so we'll be in touch within the next week and set something up more consistent for me and you to start running shows.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You have a
Thank
great night.
you.
Tell everyone we said hi. And there comes Thing. Kate. And oh, by the way, tell your sister Caitlin I said hi. I
He
told
says
everyone
hi
about.
back.
I was telling people about that too. They're like, sister. I go, you didn't know she had a sister named Caitlin? They're like, I told them, and they did. They gave me the Kate look.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I'm glad
great.
I'm glad I have my own look.
Yeah.
Have a great night, and we'll be talking soon.
All right,
All right.
bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
There you had Kate. I just love her. She is so adorable, man.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, well, you just heard what she does when they said, as soon as I heard you said, someone's got a question, what's your title and what do you do? As soon as I heard that, I was like, I was just going to do one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Half hour
all
later.
right, here we go. And the thing is, that even wasn't all of it. I mean, she is
Mhm.
involved in so many aspects of so many things with families. I mean, everybody. And it was just such an honor to meet her, and along with everyone else there. And again, to everyone at Fan, I can't thank you enough for last night. It was something that, like I said, never did before, and I always wanted to. And just like doing this right here. I never did it before. Did the first one with Brad at Silver School, then Dan at Hard Knocks, Donna at Hard Knocks. And after I did, I knew it was a passion, and it's just going to keep going. After last night,
On stage.
after I got done, the feeling I had was such a warm, loving feeling that, you know, talking to the people afterwards and the give and take,
Wonderful.
they were saying that what I said helped them in a lot of different ways. And the stories that we exchanged then, I told them by them talking to me, it's done the same to me. And it was a win-win. So, for everybody out there, please check out Fan. Go to their website. They are just absolutely amazing people. And at that note, I'm losing my voice again. And thank you guys for coming on. And Dan, Heidi, um,
Trisha.
Vincent,
Trisha, Wanda,
Trisha,
Ginger.
um, yeah, if I don't see you on again, as I've said many times, when I see the comments that I'm looking at now, there's a lot for some reason. Ginger, of course, that for some reason doesn't show up. Wanda, how you doing, man? It's been a while. I hope all is good with all of you. I love, your comments and just seeing your names, it's just like, oh, Ginger's here, Heidi and everybody, Wanda. It's just so great to see everybody, and just really, it's that warm fuzzy feeling that I get, and I really appreciate it. And that's what I was saying about last night. I just met some of these people for the first time, but the interaction on both ends, mine and theirs, or theirs and OGs and stuff like that, was like I said, we are going to be jumping into every public speaking appearance that I possibly can.
Move over, Joel Olstein. Here he comes.
Yeah, Abbott Costello, man. But no, seriously, it was such a great experience, and for everybody on my fight, all of you, Don and Cate, and everybody, your comments and your compassion and support and motivation and everything that you guys do with your posts for people every day on a daily. Terry, Terry, God bless you, man. My sister Terry. Hope you're all's well with you. But the ongoing support and love that is seen every day, day and night, with someone who's having a bit of a hard time, and then just the outpouring of love and support, man. So, you guys are absolutely amazing. My Fighter War is such a blessing in so many different ways. And, just to be able to spread our wings to what we're doing, starting the show with the Wolf Pack, trying to get a little more interaction with people who want to discuss other things besides addiction. The Wolf Pack page is there for you. And then I've been very blessed with my new brother, man, with my brother Skylar Ray. On every Wednesday at 8:00, we have our own show, Music and Mayhem, on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central, with Skylar Ray and
Eastern.
myself. Eastern, what did I say?
Central.
I said Central?
Yes, you did.
Sheesh.
That's Chicago.
Well,
Or Detroit.
you know what? Hey, the time's the same everywhere. You didn't know that. But every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time is Music and Mayhem with myself and Skylar Ray. We are heading to New York
This weekend.
to actually, then we're going to Connecticut, and I'm going to be on Demon's Row. I'm going to do their show with Sost the man, Sost the ghost. I'm going to be doing his show Sunday, and myself, OG and Ian Beck from Locked In with Ian Beck. I'm going to be, we're meeting to go over a bunch of logistics and stuff for our show that me and him are going to be starting together. And then not only that, since I'm going to be in New York with doing Demon's Row, me and Ian are going to do another show. And not only that, my brother Boston 2% is in the process of heading to Alabama with my lovely friend Lori, and to do some amazing things in Alabama. And myself and Boston were talking about doing a show while he's on the road. So we're going to look into that as well on Sunday. So we possibly will have 3 shows on Sunday, but we will keep you updated. So I think tomorrow we're taking the day off.
Yeah. Yes.
But again, thank you guys. Have a great night. Love you, and keep fighting a good fight.